At exactly 5:30 p.m. Welcome, fun to see everybody again. Hopefully everybody got a little bit of the rain, if nothing else. We did not. So turn the fans on. Blow it us. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order at 5:30. This meeting is being held in open session in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, and business as conducted by the board will be done so in open session. Each regular session will be open with prayer and pledge to the flags. All persons in attendance are free to welcome, participate, or not.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Thank you. All right, good evening. We will start with agenda item number 1, which is citizens communication. Those are invited. I know we have a few that would haven't elected to address the board. Just please limit your discussion to approximately 3 minutes. I don't have the list, so
I think I was first on the list, Douglas Kirk. The last time I addressed this board was May 14th, 2024, and I spoke about the problem. On the 27th of February, 2025, I had an informal meeting here at the CAD about the problem. On the 17th of April, 2025, I sent a pre-suit demand letter to the district. I hope you've all seen it, about the problem. So here we are on the 25th of August, and I'm here to announce that I have prepared a lawsuit, which I may or may not file, depends on what happens after we have a discussion tonight. This lawsuit calls, the petition says fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, mail fraud, and racketeering. There are people in this room that are going to be named in this lawsuit. There are others that are not in this room that are going to be in the lawsuit. I don't want to file this suit. I really don't. The last suit that I filed against this district lasted 5 years. Cost you a bunch of money, cost me a lot of pain and misery. I don't want to do this. But you guys don't seem to be getting the message that we have a problem. Now, what is the problem? Just as an example, I was sent comparables on property. And when I addressed the board a year and a half ago, I said, this is ridiculous. 3 pieces of property, which are drainage property, valued at over $500,000. So when I talked to the appraiser about it, he said there are no comparables. He told me that 4 times. No comparables. I said, okay, he made me an offer. I made an offer. He didn't accept what I had. I didn't accept what we had. We walked away. So what the district did is it went ahead and prepared the documents that were sent over to the tax office, and I was then billed for the taxes based upon the comparables that allegedly don't exist. You got a problem, a big problem. If this was an isolated event, we could do something about it, but I don't think it's isolated. I think it's systemic. I think it runs throughout the district. And I think you guys as a board need to dig into it with both feet and find out why I'm complaining again and again and again. This lawsuit is 17 pages. I talk about the details. I mention the statutes that are being violated. We're talking about some things, and I don't have power to do a criminal case, but we're talking about some things that could send some people to jail. Do we want that? Do we want to send our local citizens to jail? If they don't stop the fraud and the conspiracy and the racketeering, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call the Justice Department. I'm out of time. I'm going to hand you this document. Who should I give it to? That's relative to a case that I was involved in that sent 24 people to jail. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have a list. If you're the other one signed up, please, yes.
I was second on the list. My name is Greg Ferris. I'm basically here to support this gentleman. I've supported him for a number of years in various legal actions that he has taken against this particular appraisal district. I participated in my own legal action against the Bear County district and have found out, as he said earlier, this is a systemic problem with these comps. I got into it with them and they got the bad end of that. I stuck it where the sun didn't shine on their particular part, but I want you to understand this is going on everywhere. Comparables are not being actually put up equal to each other. There's not even comparables for certain types of properties, and they're just inventing stuff. I'll give you an example in Bear County. My property sits on the borderline inside the Cibolo Creek. I'm the northeastmost point of Bear County. That's my business property. 70% of my taxes comes to y'all up here. Even though you're Comal County, 30% only goes to Bear. And every year they would up my appraisal, not understanding various things about state law. I would go down, I would argue with them, go through the informal, the formal, the usual stuff. And for years, it took me a while to learn all this stuff. And then, as Mr. Booker is well aware of, I've gone around since the lawsuit that I filed in 2016, advising people how to fight against the appraisal district's inappropriate actions. And I'm going to bring it up again. Comparables are the big issue here. Bear County didn't even recognize out of the 14 comparables they gave me, none of them, absolutely none of them applied to me as a shooting range. I was compared against several unimproved properties, a dentist office, an apartment complex, various different things that had nothing to do with being a shooting range. I finally got through to them. I really did. ARB board listened to me. The ladies did the job and they helped me do what I needed to do. And I'm now perfectly fine with that. That's not your county. I don't blame you. And I've seen some efforts made in this county by various people. I've seen where supervisors and people who have come forward did a little bit of analysis on their own, talked to their appraisers, and I've gotten descriptions of stories from other people who've gone to meet with appraisers that they were getting some justice because they were having an intervention from people above stepping in and handling stuff. That I appreciate. More of that needs to be done. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to support him and everything that he's doing because nothing that he brings up has gone wrong. We fought against a completely, I won't use the expression derogatorily, an attorney that used to work for you guys. Thank God he's not here anymore, and I hope we had something to do with it. But I hope the new legal assistance that you're getting from your staff is actually giving you good advice on this. And I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that they will do that for you. I think I'm out of time.
Almost, but yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And item number 2, let's go to section 615, communications, and board member having.
And I just quick mention, I was able to sit on one board meeting that I stumbled into, panel chaired by John Cox. I thought it went very well. Slightly difficult, probably had some issues on it. Afterwards, we got into discussion and included Mr. Booker and Tanner about the ARB and talking about, do we need to start thinking about increasing its size even for next year, potentially going up to 20 slots. Give us the ability to man more panels. And then the other thing we need to start thinking about, is it this year, Mr. Cox, or next year that you are done?
I had one more year ago.
One more year, so he's got one more year, and I think the vice chair or the secretary is in the same situation. So we're gonna be looking at, we need to start thinking about probably appointing new board officers as well as maybe authorizing more slots.
Yes. Yes.
I've been thinking about, and I don't know if this is the right place to insert this, but I kind of thought about it. I was looking at commercial property, different things we talked about as far as expanding. You're talking about needing more board members, all this stuff. And I think that, especially what Mr. Kirk is talking about too, I think a lot of it is there's a lot of pressure put on the people that are here as far as getting stuff done quickly. They don't have a lot of time to get the appraisal done. They have to find whatever fits. I'm sure they are measured over how many appraisals they get every day done, and there's pressure. And I really think, and I know some of the other boards in the area, in Texas, have gone to once every 2 or once every 3 years as far as appraisals are concerned, and just rotated. And I really think that that might solve a couple of our problems. And I know that's a radical suggestion, but one of them would be, it would give the people we have more time to work on stuff, not, don't say, you got 15 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it is. Take an hour, drive out to the property, take a look at it, then we don't have to, then it's right. Then what doesn't happen? We don't need as many board members because we don't have as many people complaining because it's done right the first time. It's the only reason people go to get bored is because it's off. I mean, people don't take their Saturday or their Friday off or whatever to go to see this board of directors so that they can spend time. Doing that, they'd rather have their vacation to do something else with, right? I mean, I'd really rather get a root canal. They have to go through this and spend, the last time, about 3 months ago, I went before, one of the boards and they were very, very nice to me, but I spent 2 nights up till like 3 in the morning getting ready for that meeting. I didn't need all that stuff, but I was ready, but people are suffering, and if we could just do it right and do it, the professionals do it instead of us regular people trying to figure out. What have you thought about? Think about it. Like, meditate on it. Do an area like Canyon Lake or down here in central New Braunfels or over more towards where, they're building a new steakhouse or whatever, and they get really good at that area. And we don't have to hire more people. We don't need a new building. We maybe have less people because we're only doing a third of them every year. We have less needs, but we get a better quality product. And I don't know the numbers, and maybe you could tell me how much if I am only moving, and my property is different, but a lot of properties that I've seen, they're only moving a few $1,000s every year. It's not a big difference, but if we could do a good job and not spend so much money on the other side defending what maybe isn't right, because people are trying really hard and they don't have the resources the most important resource, time, to do it. So I know it's extreme, but I just think maybe we don't need a new building. Maybe we don't need more people. Maybe we just need to give the people we have a really good chance to do the fantastic job that regular appraisers would have. More time.
Yes. And item number 3, discussion of possible action, approval of the minutes from the July 8th, 2025 regular meeting.
The motion to approve the minutes presented.
Second. Motion and second, just no discussion. Yeah, we'll have discussion. And discussion.
Last time I was told that it wasn't audible on the recording. So I guess my question is, how did we get the minutes if it wasn't audible, if there was no recording?
Pam,
I take
she
notes.
takes pencil notes while everything's going on as well.
Any other, is there any other comments? Any correction?
No, I'll try to get.
No, it's fine. It's fine. All right, motion is second. All those in favor, please say your key. And motion carries. Item number 4, presentation by the Board Chairman of the 2025 protest season. Mr. Provost.
Good evening. I think the sheet that I'm speaking from is in your packet. Just a few things I want to call your attention. The number of protests this year is 31,756. Of those closed out informally, 13,904. ARB has seen 1,485. We've had 1,122 no-shows. 1,580 have been withdrawn. And then the top lines, 2,059, those kind of go with the closed out informally. That leaves us 11,570 left to be heard. And the vast number of those are with agents. We have seen most, not all, but most of the protests that were filed by individual owners. So we're nearing completion on those. So, and we do have some reschedule requests that are unavoidable, by the tax code. And we will hopefully work most of those in the coming month in September. So hopefully by, the next time this group meets in October, we will be, very nearly done. That's the plan anyway. Questions?
Questions?
No, thank you.
I just wanna relay it, it's kind of a little bit out of order, but the comment cards in here specifically address, and are complimentary of several of the ARB proceedings. And so just make sure you send that back to the board and the ARB, just with our appreciation for the hard work they're doing.
I'll do so. Thank you.
Can you repeat what you said about the anticipated completion of the bulk of the 11,500?
With,
By the next
Mr.
board.
Jones scheduling those, we have, those agents scheduled in, during the month of September. And the vast majority of those are with two different groups of agents. And we'll get them in here and get them knocked out. I anticipate a lot of those will be settled informally, and the ones that aren't, we'll hear.
The reason I ask is we hold tax bills for those properties still under timely protest, and so. For my timing purposes, I'll get with Jeffrey and be sure that we can include as many of those in the tax statements as possible.
We're hoping by the end of September that there's very few that you need to withhold this year. That's,
And those agents he's talking about, we actually blocked out those days and we're gonna have 3 panels just for those agents.
Yes.
No owners or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
we have one agent, 1 week in September, they'll be here, all 3 rooms. All week.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, taxpayer with its lot officer.
Good evening, everybody. It's really nice to start. All right, formal complaints received by my office, none. Limited binding arbitration, again, that's procedural issues, none received. I was talking to you about trends, and one of them this last period really focused on telephone protests. Now, you probably know this, but there's about 4 different ways you can do a protest. One, you can prepare in person, most people do that. Secondly, you can go to use the phone or Zoom video. Third, you can submit a document that can basically hold your argument, and that document speaks for you. Fourth, you can hire an agent. It could be a professional agent, it could be a relative or a friend. But going back to the Zoom and the phone hearings, there by Texas property law, in order to appear over the phone or on a Zoom call, you have to have a notarized affidavit. And I would say that probably 3/4 of the time, people aren't turning those in. So what that does, in wanting to do the protest by Zoom or by phone, and they don't have the affidavit submitted, that closes the door to going to the ARB. So that only gives them the opportunity to go to the informal hearing one-on-one with the appraiser over the phone. Normally, if they had the affidavit by design, that would open the door for them to say, thank you, I'm not wanting to accept the informal offer, I want to go to the ARB. But they closing that door by not having the affidavit. Talked to Jeffrey about this. There are like 3 different places where it makes it clear that it's required. The protest form that they fill out says it on there. The notification that they receive says it on there. And there's a taxpayer booklet that is included. It's also in there. So there's 3 different places where it says it's required. We're kind of scratching our head to figure out how we can better get the word out that this affidavit is required to help people help themselves. Property owner engagements, 389. It's a smaller number than previously, but it's only been about a month and a half since I last talked to you. All of them addressed and resolved. Interesting point, by mid-September this year, virtually all individual homeowners will have had their protests approved, and that will allow them to get their tax bills without delay. What I'm talking about is if you still have a protest pending, you won't get a tax bill. That kind of delays things and sometimes makes things complicated for people from a financial planning perspective. So this is good news. We are moving along so fast, even though we've had more protests registered this year than any other time, like even since 2022. And yet we're moving so fast that we will have all individual homeowners have their protest heard by mid-September. That's really significant. Go ahead to the next chart. Okay, no change in staffing. We are still full up at 16 total positions. Next chart. Okay, feedback. Comptroller surveys, in this period of time, since it's only been since July 8th, there were only 9 ARB days when we did our data cutoff for this presentation. Every single survey, so the ARB was courteous, attentive, knowledgeable, organized, and fair. A couple of comments there. ARB, they don't always have to submit comments, but they can. The entire ARB panel was considerate, knowledgeable. Another one said the hearing itself was fast, but he did have to wait about 45 minutes. I'm talking to John. It's very rare, but on occasion, there are people who do have to wait a little bit longer than we would like. In this case, it was 45 minutes. Online surveys, 18. Every single one of them were rated very good, which is the tip top rating. Can't get any higher than that. They are all in your package, so feel free to look at them if you'd like. But I picked out what I thought were some representative comments. Easy to settle the appeal that I filed. So polite, made everything easy. Very knowledgeable, helpful, and patient. My questions were answered clearly. Emails were responded to quickly and clearly, and so on. So I think we're doing really well in this perspective, based on this feedback we're getting. Next chart, please. Okay, front desk comment cards. 34 of them during this period. Every single card was rated very good, which again is the top rating. Couple comments that I provided you with. My experience with the service desk over the years has been exemplary, professional, cordial, respectful, knowledgeable, made the process comfortable and easy. Again, every one of them are in your package, all 34, but really impressive record that these folks have compiled. Other feedback, emails, letters, social media. We had 5 of those, all very positive. Words like, I wish we could clone you. Thanks for taking the time to listen and review my documents. Prompt response, willingness to handle this. Would like to formally thank the ARB members. So across the board, every different type of feedback that we're getting from these official methodologies was very positive. Next chart. Okay, now this is one I wanted to bring to your attention. I think it was handled the best it could be. There was Mr. Slusser, who was a property owner, sent a note both to the tax office and to CAD. He apparently, and he communicated this with us, he had very serious health issues recently, and because of that, he had a job that he lost, and he was having trouble paying for his mortgage. He said he felt cheated because the rate of his property value had been escalating over the years, going back to several years, back to 2021. So I looked into his file and I spoke with him. And as you look at the file, he continually hired other people to represent him, which of course is his prerogative. But from 21 to 25, his agents, every single one of them, accepted the informal offer. Again, that's the first step. If you're not happy with an offer, that's why the ARB is here. You say, informal, thanks so much, but I'd like to see the ARB. So while he has said he was unhappy with all these years, the people that are representing him officially, contract, we're all saying we're happy with the informal offer. So a little bit of a disconnect there. One agent that he hired even no-showed on his behalf. So I worked with Jeffrey to look at his file to see how we could help him out. He had just turned over 65. That's going to help him because he already has a homestead in. Jeffrey noticed that his properties, he had 3 or 4 properties, they're all contiguous. So we suggested that he do a homestead group, which would allow him to benefit with all his 3 or 4 properties that were contiguous to his homestead property and get him a tax break there. And then we also talked him through the upcoming Texas-wide property law changes that will also impact him in a positive way. His tone changed. He became certainly, I would say, apologetic, but he did close out saying, "Thank you for trying to help me. I'll probably have to move away anyway, but I still think the values are too high." Next chart. I put this one out in the chart package because I thought it was a good example of the 2 offices working together, the tax office and the CAD. There was an instance where Ms. Jen Gregory exchanged several emails with both the tax office and the CAD. She had an interesting situation, and then she had 3 accounts. They were related, a parent account and then 2 sub or child accounts. The CAD created the 2 sub accounts in order to properly apply the exemptions. In some cases, when you have exemptions, not all of them are applicable to all of your sub accounts. For instance, in this case, the senior person in the family was a military guy who had VA disability, and that particular exemption wasn't applicable to all the properties. So when it was first created, the sub-accounts had no exemptions applied, resulting in a higher than expected tax bill. The tax office, Monica Goodall and the CAD, Melissa Jordan, worked closely together with the homeowner throughout the process and resolved it by 8/5. They brought it to our attention at 7/16. So I think it relatively quickly, it was actually somewhat complicated, but I thought that was a good example of them working really well together. Next chart. Okay, so employee recognition. Unfortunately, Melissa Jordan, who I just mentioned in the previous chart, is not feeling well today and was able to come and join us today. But she was somebody that we wanted to feature. She joined the CAD in 2021. Previously, she worked at the tax office starting way back in 2005. She said that she's happily married for over 20 years with three children and 2 granddaughters. Love the outdoors, water, all things family. She said she fell in love with the tax code. I never heard anybody say that.
I was hoping she'd be here. I was gonna ask her.
So she probably would love to get a note for
Love the tax code.
She loves
person I knew that loves the tax code.
She loves educating the community and the opportunity to, they call her with questions. She says to lead people, you must walk beside them. I thought that was a nice thing. All right, next, I think we skipped, there we go. Phil Day, Phil's with us today. And so I will tell you, in all the comment cards that we get at the front desk and the surveys, Phil's name comes up all the time in a very positive manner. He joined the ComalAD twice, once from 2016 to 2022, and then again, after taking a break to go other places, he joined again in 2025. Look at all the experience he's had with residential, commercial, and VPP departments. Before that, working in the food and beverage industry and the oil and gas industry. He's currently working for his CAE, Certified Assessment Evaluator designation, and graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma. Likes books, comedy, and sports, and is a native of Texas, but lived in several neighboring states, including Wyoming, Oklahoma, and Nevada. Phil, did you want to say anything?
Sure, yeah. I appreciate the opportunity to be recognized and thank you for the kind words. As he already stated, this is my second go around up here. I worked residential for about 5.5, 6 years. Moved up to Austin and worked for Travis Central Appraisal District doing commercial up there. Been back for about 6 months and it's been really great. The leadership under Chief Booker and Mr. Jones, I think every department is very well run, very well oiled, and I can just say the staff I work with, I feel great about because it's a very welcoming environment, and pretty much everyone I'm working with is incredibly competent, well trained on the job, and I feel like I'm working with a lot of great appraisers. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Glad to have you back, Phil.
Thank you.
Next chart.
No.
Okay, so I was telling you, in the many times have I done this, I've never had to use as many pages. Chuck has done everything. Navy, Air Force, semiconductors, project manager with Best Western Hotels, training for Qualex, City of Austin, I mean, my goodness, is there anything you haven't done? Bull Verde, city administrator, director of a library. And then finally, a real estate realtor. My goodness. Next chart. Educated, included a degree from Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio, and of course his Bachelor of Science earlier than that at Wayland Baptist University, also in San Antonio. Married 46 years, daughter and son from previous marriage, and 2 stepsons and 1 stepdaughter currently. Family in New Braunfels traces back to 1846. Wow. Next chart. Is a Commodore in the Texas Navy, which I didn't know we had a Texas Navy. Board of Directors member for South Bank Homeowners, Elm Creek Homeowner Association, Board of Directors for Hubert Air Park, Seguin, Elks Club, and I think there was Lions Club also.
Yes.
What was yours?
Well, I have a lot of experience, and I guess for my age, I'm still doing pretty good. But I've had a lot of experience. I've done a lot of good things, my own business, and I've retired 3 times, Navy, City of Austin, and a commercial flight instructor. And I'm still going at 84. So I feel very blessed that I still can look in the mirror every morning and say, well, I had another blessed night. And I thank you, Kurt, for the nice presentation. Thank you.
Hey Chuck, I have a question. Since your family traces back to 1846,
Yes, sir.
did y'all miss the first boat?
I don't know, I really don't know. I haven't looked into my family back here in those days, but my mother's family was, came here in 1846, and then they married another German family. Meyer was the last name in San Antonio. So I haven't chased it back yet. I just haven't taken the time to do it. But I think I better get to it.
Yeah.
So stones are left unturned, better left unturned. Good.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my official presentation. I talked to John just before the meeting started. There's an awful lot of data in your packages, which is really interesting today. I thought there was one really good thing to point out. We thought that 2022 was going to be like the year to, that had so many protests because of all that was going on in terms of coming out of COVID and also all the property values going through the roof during that time. Over 31,000 plus in terms of protests filed. And then this year, we've already eclipsed that, which is amazing to me. And what I want to also point out, and then you remember me saying earlier, we're moving at such a pace that we're going to be done with individual protests in mid-September. Pretty fantastic. But no-shows really jumped out at me. I don't know if this is in your package, but the no-shows in 2022, when we had a similar number of protests, were 5,000 and change. This year, it's 1,000 and change. Now, we do have some more to go. Most of the ones we have left are agents, and agents normally don't no-show because they'll be paid. So that means that we've had almost 4,000 drop in no-shows from that year to this year. It's really impressive, and it's a way of taking care of the taxpayer.
Couple things you might take away from your presentation. One is the success of the TLO position as far as helping taxpayers navigate complex tax code, even though there's a couple of people that really like it, maybe one over there, but Miss Jordan being the other one. So that is, I think that's a good thing because it shows that position is working really well to help that and offer that connection to the community. The second one is just every one of these comment cards, and I know they're not all perfect, and there's a couple things through here, and I completely understand that, but the ones that really stand out to me are the ones where people actually take a time, and I was mentioning this to Mr. Woods when he walked in earlier today. Take the time to write a personal letter and talk about the professionalism of the committee that he went in front of and how efficient and fair it was. I mean, that's what it's about, fair and equitable. We don't always nail it, I understand that, but between that and seeing Mr. Day's, and you are correct, name show up over and over and all those at the front counter, I don't know if we're pumping pure oxygen or what in the building, but it is really phenomenal, especially the ones where they go above and beyond to even move the scale on the comment cards. So I very much appreciate the staff. Please make sure that they understand our appreciation. I mean, it's a night and day turnaround from the numbers you were mentioning, 20, 21, 22. So. Yes, sir.
Question. I'm intrigued about this notarization requirement. That's messing us up on people and their protests. Well, I'm not being critical of notaries, but why do they have notarized? What is it we're notarizing?
It's an affidavit.
Affidavit.
It's an affidavit. So if they're not there in person or they're by Zoom, they're affirming to what they're presenting.
What if they have to file that before they can make that appointment? Or with you?
Well, I mean, they can. We have people that only file a protest and file the affidavit.
If they're 3/4 are missing, what if they couldn't make the appointment for a phone or Zoom without that affidavit attached to them?
They could still do that, but they wouldn't be able to have their hearing without the affidavit. Because it's affirming their testimony.
And I think the concept of the affidavit is, when somebody comes in, you can confirm it's the person who's supposed to be there,
Right.
legally represent that thing. If you're sitting in an ARB and all you get is a packet of paper, the affidavit, and it's not notarized, I mean, how can you be sure that this is being submitted by the person that, so I think that's the logic behind it.
What I'm saying is, it's like if 3/4 of the people are missing that affidavit and they can't do with the Zoom or phone call, then when they make to have the ability to make a Zoom or phone call appointment, you have to submit that affidavit with it, and whether or not missing it.
You can't require that.
Well, then what, but then.
I understand,
Well,
but
required.
you're denying them their lawful right by doing that. They have the right to do that, and, I mean,
But we are recording it though, right? They have.
it's required by the state in order to be able to do that, but that's if they want to go further than the informal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, none of this,
You can't deny them.
none of this is local policy. This is all driven by the tax code.
Reason I ask that is the legislature doesn't do much relative to making things easier for us, but. I mean, if you're signing a document being submitted to a governmental agency, you already got problems if, whether it's notarized or not. And if we're getting 3/4 of our possible hearings gummed up because it's not notarized, that's something that I'd be looked at. I mean, I'm looking at you, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's right, it is under state law, we have to schedule the hearing. If somebody files a protest on time, we've got to set them up for a hearing, and we're not allowed to put any other additional requirements.
Okay.
And then, for whatever reason, the legislature has made it so that if you don't come in person and you appear either by phone or by video conference, in order to meet the requirement that you have appeared and offered evidence and argument, you have to submit a sworn affidavit. And I don't think it would be necessarily from a policy standpoint, such a bad thing to say, all you gotta do is submit something, you can send in a letter and write it, and you don't have to swear, but we'd have to get the legislature to make a change.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but anybody can file a protest on any property.
Correct.
But you cannot come in and represent that property without being the legal owner or being, having authorization from the legal owner to do that. So maybe part of this is to, I mean, I don't know how, if that would ever happen or not, but the law does say you can, anybody can, I can submit a protest on your property, you can submit one on mine, and we don't have to talk to each other. And I've seen it happen with agents.
Right.
Now,
I thought this was an affidavit of the owner.
It is, so what Mr. Sluppick's talking about is when agents file their protest, they don't even have to have their agent authorization form yet. Once they file it, the district has to schedule it, and then the deadline for them to bring in their agent authorization form is the date of the hearing. And similarly, if a regular property owner doesn't go through an agent, they file a protest on their own, we also have to schedule that. But for them, then if they aren't gonna come in person and they're gonna appear by phone or teleconference, they do have to submit a sworn affidavit. And like Mr. Capps said, that's not our local policy. Those are two things the state legislature.
I mean, I say that what I heard was 2 things that are going up our process. No shows, obviously, they're down, but there's still 1,000 people that are waiting for a meeting and no one shows up. And the other one's that affidavit we're hearing or basically, I mean, it gets stopped because somebody didn't. I don't know how many people went to Huntsville for relying on an affidavit about their property tax, if the notary, wasn't notarized. I mean, it's. Like I say,
Like Kurt said, though, I think the district has found several ways to notify them, 3 or 4 different ways that documents we give them to let them know if you're doing a video not showing up, this affidavit is required.
Is that affidavit available for the download and?
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, that's kind of on me.
Does it require a notary or is it just a sworn
No,
statement?
notarized affidavit.
Some means you gotta pay
A
money.
lot, yeah, a lot of these new forms nowadays, I mean, you can swear on your own affidavit without having to get a notarization, so.
Have we considered maybe getting somebody on the staff so they could be a notary, so somebody who maybe couldn't make it on Wednesday could come down on Monday and do the affidavit here or notarize it or to make it easier?
It has to be a difference if they could.
Right. Majority of our staff are notaries.
So it has to be, okay. And then the other question I had, you said you can download it. Is it something we could include in their packet when we send it out?
It's in the instructions we send them in on their hearing
There's a
notice.
form.
Not the form, no. But it's like, well, we don't know which way they're gonna go, right? They may have full intent to come in person and then something comes up a week later and they decide they want to attend a different way. We don't know how they're going to.
So go ahead and add the PDF into the packet. I don't know how technical, I don't know the technicality on it, but
So it's just a 1-page affidavit? Let's just put it in a standard packet.
when people,
2 pages.
so they look at those packets.
Right, 2 pages, yeah, right.
I mean, I know there's a cost in printing the document, but
Would you want it to be in the packet for every single property or notice that goes out, or just in the ones that elected?
in my opinion, I just think we make it part of our standard packet that goes to everybody. I agree with Kristen on that.
Is there a list of where you could get a notary? I mean,
Any bank, like any bank you make, will do it for you.
I go to UPS or FedEx office.
You can go to the Texas Notary Public, you can go to State of Texas,
But it is
Secretary of
still-
State page, and go to the Notary Public, and you can look up by zip code, and you can see.
It's a pain.
the lady who does, who I get coffee from, but I know, but what I'm saying is, could we put the list in the packet and say, you can get it at UPS, or there's a list you can go to and find it, or whatever. A lot of these people, we're not talking about probably everybody, but some of these people just aren't experienced. They don't know those things. If we could give them that, then maybe we'd have less problems where they miss out.
So Kurt, I mean, is the problem the fact they don't know how to find a notary, or is the problem with them not reading the instructions?
I don't think they're reading the instructions.
So that's kind of what my thought was. I mean, I understand what you're saying about, but I think the fault in a different place.
Sure, but if you put the affidavit in there and you go, oh, what's this? You know, so you gotta look at this paper, you look the affidavit, so it can be fabulous. And it says at the bottom, you can find a notary at.
Of course, you know what's gonna happen. All these people that don't need a notary are gonna go fill out the form and get a notary.
Well, and I think you had to modify the form that said to say at the top. Notary or tax code, whatever,
Well-
if you're gonna,
Well, we can't solicit any kind of business, and that's a state form that we use.
Yeah.
it's a state.
What about like a follow-up text message, you know, like if you're calling for that, you get a text message that has that form with it. Something like that, I mean, is that possible or no?
I mean, we said in text message reminders, I don't know about including a form on it, that had to be something we look into.
I mean, just like 75% is really high. That's a
Well,
lot, that's a huge pain for that.
I did though, what if it said, that's what he's saying, what if it said, did you get your notarized form back to us yet?
Not everybody has access to the computer, but they have a phone, and if they can click the form and at least go somewhere, you know what I mean? And we at least give them an option. I don't know.
I mean, it might help, but you're also running people that wanna give the government their phone number too, so that's
Yeah.
an issue.
I think if you just include that document in the
Yes.
package
I
itself,
mean, I think
it would satisfy the large majority of it. See about having
Would it say to you if it wasn't notarized?
Yes.
How come when you go on like DocuSign or something and you click on the deal, say that's me, that counts as a law abiding document, but we can't do that on our end? That is because the state.
Yeah, I mean, it's required.
Yeah, take that up with our.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Texas.
Anything else?
Then number six, chief appraisal.
Yes, sir, I don't have a lot. Did want y'all to know, we did certify the 2025 roll. That was all sent to the entities. Christian did work with us. We did have some entities that didn't know us that they were new for 2025. So we did have to go back and add all that data and recertify it. So that has all been completed and sent to the entities. We've had some reach out to us with some questions. One other thing that's not in the packet that I wanted to go over with y'all or in my report is the property value study. So for all of our commercial properties, they've already sent us the properties and a clerical error report. So we actually just got that yesterday. And for all of our residential, they did send a list of all the properties they want, which will be about 1,000 or more than 1,000 that they will test us on. What properties they're going to test us on? Well, I guess we know now, but we don't know what sales information they have and what they're. So they have sales information we don't have. So
when will we, now that we've gotten that, when will we start testing right away or?
yeah, like I said, we just got it yesterday. So
Right.
with those numbers that they gave us, we'll see what we have and do the appraisal ratio and see where we're at. Have a good idea. So the commercial side of it, a lot of commercial properties don't sell or you get the sales price. So a portion of them, they do their own appraisal on it and compare their appraisal to our appraisal. So I don't know where we're gonna end up on those. but-
That's the information that we don't
Pat, we don't know, so we can kind of run preliminary based on the sales that they have chosen, but the large majority of the accounts in the study for commercial or multifamily are an appraisal done by one of the comptrollers appraisal.
Do you think we'll have an idea where we're at in the October meeting in the testing? I
Um,
know we usually get a pretty good feel going in.
yeah, I mean, I know a long time ago, we did a preliminary based off of the numbers we received, and we can definitely do that. But any data that they might be using that they didn't provide us, we can still
Right.
kind of give you a short Excel sheet, and since I know you like Excel.
I know every year there's always maybe one or two we're concerned about in there.
Yes.
Just because of lack of data.
Absolutely, once we go through, we can definitely include that in October. So it's that time of year again. We do have two board members that are, their term is ending in December or December 31st. Like to send those letters out as soon as possible. The entities have to provide nominees for those positions by October 15th, and then we'll send a ballot out by the end of October. We wanted to go out as early as possible. A lot of these entities have to put it on their boards or their board of trustees meetings, so we can give that plenty of time. So,
Who are those, what two positions?
Mr. Tyler and Mr. Law.
Those are 4-year.
Would be a 4-year term.
cycle.
Yes.
Then we had an issue with that in the past, Jeffrey, getting the entities to respond.
I'll reach out to them, but that's why we want to start early.
If you don't get something, but I don't know, Mr. Tyler and Mr. Long know so that they can circle around with them.
Yeah.
Or if the other board members need to help.
Yep, absolutely.
That too.
Thanks for that. And the only other thing I have is the next meeting is October 7th.
Any questions for Mr. Booker, before we keep going? All right. Agenda number 7, now financial reports.
All right. Well, you should have a packet in front of you that starts off with our profit and loss budget performance. On the first page, I just tallied up the amount of income that we have minus any investment income, and it's just under $4,700. Investment income is separate to date. We put that in at the end of the year when we do the audit because it's constantly changing. But I do have some of that on the investment summary as well. Currently, all of our entities are paid up to date, with a couple of them paying 100%. So we don't have any outstanding invoices currently.
It seems like we had one last cycle or.
Yeah, it was one of the emergency service districts, and as far as I know, that's all been resolved. They sent in their payment. So if you go to the second page, honestly, for the time of year that we're at, most of our numbers look really good. Utilities are on par with where we need to be. We're gonna have a big uptick in education costs coming to the second half of the year. There's usually, most of our employees go to their education courses either in the first 3-4 months or the last 3-4 months, because we're obviously not doing that during protest season. So we'll see a big uptick in that. And if you go to page 3, there is one line in 7,900 maintenance, repair and supplies that is over. We had some significant maintenance costs regarding our HVAC system and the warehouse and just different areas that those are related to. So that is why that's higher than normal. I have forecasted out about another $4,000 throughout the end of the year. It's kind of just yes, just because if the HVAC system goes out and we need it to get repaired, obviously we need to do that. Another one that's going to be something for us to keep an eye on throughout the end of the year is going to be our postage. Obviously, around this time of the year, most of our postage expenses have kind of run their course, but we do still have certified mailers that have to go out for different things, you know, any type of denial or removal of an exemption, or even our board orders that we have for finishing up these hearings, those would require certified mail. And then we also have some mass mailings that we do towards the end of the year. I'm not forecasting it exceeding our budget, but it's just something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. Going down to contract services, in legal services, we have currently through July, we're at 37.33%. I believe at the time of writing this report, we had not received, I believe we've received an additional invoice. So, but currently we're there. We're keeping an eye on our legal services and seeing where that takes us throughout the end of the year. At the bottom of that page, laser processing, it has exceeded our budget. We're about $12,000 over that. That's the counterpart to postage, essentially. That's what we pay to our print vendor to actually generate everything, all the envelopes, all the letters. And we had just a significant amount of notices that we had to send out this year, and everything that goes along with that. I forecasted out another 10,000. I don't expect that is going to go up to 10,000 because we just don't have that many print vendor services going up through the end of the year, but it's another thing that we'll be keeping an eye on throughout that. On the last page of that, there's a couple of the feed services or just appraise. That is in excess of 5,200 over. That is because we brought to the board the approval to get our homestead and BDP forms earlier in this year instead of waiting towards 2026. So there's just some additional costs that incurred with that. And then our homestead audit costs, those have all been paid in full. There won't be any additional costs for that. And the feasibility study, which is it still ongoing or is it?
We just got one. We just got an invoice.
So that final invoice should take us up to I believe the contract price. So, but obviously that was something that we did not budget for in the 2025 budget, but we did hold funds for from the 2024 budget. So we'll have to see how all that plays out with the overall budget. Going to ARB, I do not see how we are, if we're going to be done by September, by the end of September, Mr. Cox, I do not see how we're going to exceed our ARB budgets. So that's good news, if anything. And currently we're sitting at just under 60% of our budget, which would sound like we're right on course for the time of year. But as you know, if we're going to be done by the end of September, we're going to have a lot less costs. So, does anybody have any questions or in the financial summary? So if you go, you can flip past the next page. That's just the cover page for our investment report. But if you go on to the next one, we did have one treasury bill mature that yielded just over $4,500. We have actually had two more mature since the writing of this report, but they weren't in that time period. So those would have been we would have gotten new ones from those. And the money market account was sitting at about 3.7%. We got about $600. Remember, this reporting period was only 1 month because of the timing from when we had our last meeting, but we did get $600 in interest or in yield from our money market account. And then if you go to the next page, it actually has a breakdown. This isn't really specific to the reporting period. This is as of probably last week or when this packet was sent out. But this is the breakdown of where the assigned funds are and where we currently stand. And then on the next page, there's just a balance sheet included for reference. I'm still with that. But if nobody has any other questions regarding the financial or the investment.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.
This is to agenda, agenda item number 8, presentation of the 2025 ComalAD appraisal district annual report. Mr. Jones?
All right. I promise you, I'm not gonna read this word for word. I'm gonna just highlight some things for y'all. If you have any questions, please let me know. So the purpose of this report is our annual report. It's drafted in compliance with the IAA standards on public relations in section 6.5 for annual reports. Some things I wanted to point out, as we grow as a county, we are continually serving more entities. So for the 2025 year, we have 42 entities that we appraised for. The new entities for 2025, you'll find on page 3 in the mud entity section. So that's Pearl Song Mud, Simmons Valley Mud, and West Comal County Mud 1. On page 5, in the middle of the page, there is a new construction chart. It shows our 5-year history of new construction. So pretty consistent with the residential, multifamily as well. Really peaked in it's grown since 2023, but the -16 on the 2025 for the commercial, I did want to address that. How we collect these numbers is based on our certified totals and compared from 24 to 25. So that number is a little deceiving. For 2025, we picked up 50 new properties with new construction for commercial. But that -16 offsets because some accounts made for 25 now be appraised by Pritchard and Abbott. Properties are combined. So I just wanted to clarify that because it looks a little weird, but I wanted to be consistent how we're coming up with that information. Just below that is our ratio study. So you'll find on page 6, category A, B, C, and F, and those are our ratios for January of 2024 through the end of December of 2024. So these will be, half of these will be in our study for the property value study, as that testing period is July of 24 through June of 25. So these,
Hey, real quick, before you be too far off that.
Yeah.
Help me remember. So like their testing is done after we've already assessed our value, which kind of puts us at a disadvantage for that.
Correct.
Because they're using data that's beyond what was available when we did ours.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Do we have any kind of recourse against that when that happens?
No, I mean, that's something that you're not the first person who's complained about it, and the system is set up that way. Part of the reason it is set up that way is because the state is trying to prevent appraisal districts from what they call sales chasing. And so they actually want to have a period of sales that the district didn't have access to. And the only real challenge that you can make when they put those things into the property value study is if there is a rapidly increasing or decreasing market, you can get them to make a time adjustment to those later sales. But as far as getting the state to do a true apples to apples study where they were pulling sales data from the same time period that the district had access to it, the comptroller's office has always been adamantly opposed to that and has been able to keep the legislature from getting that done over the years.
So just real quick, I want to touch on how the PVS grades you is through that weighted mean. So if you look at our weighted means on each of these charts, you'll find that they are within line with where we want to be. Category B, we're within 1% of that 95% threshold. And then of course, category F, you see those weighted means in the 87 and 84%. That is concerning, but as we've discussed before, sample size is a big thing. And category B is not only your duplexes, multifamilies, but it also is your apartment complex. And in years past, we've had some big swings because one property is in there. Category F, though, I do want to highlight the mean ratio and the median ratio. Those are right where we want them to be. And so we did have some of those outliers.
Well, those are refresh me on what category F is. It's
Commercial. Yeah, sorry. Category A is gonna be your residential properties. B is your multifamily. C is vacant land. And F is your commercial. And these numbers were run recently, so it does account for properties that did have protests or ARV changes, so those are reflected in this. Okay. I want to turn your attention to page 7 for the exemptions. For 2025, there were 181 absolute exemptions added. These are full exemptions, so these are your public property or your disabled veterans homestead 100%. Partial exemptions, that's going to include just about every other exemption. So your homesteads, over 65s, they're going to fall within there. We had 3,183 new exemptions for 2025. These numbers are very fluid as we're processing new exemptions and retroactive exemptions for the prior years all the time.
Yeah, 22 was almost, I mean, more than double that number, but 7,100.
So back in 22, the chart just below that, we had around 46,000 exemptions for homesteads. We're now at over 55,000 homesteads. Fortunately, I had some predecessors tonight, Mr. Cox and Mr. Anderson, talk about our protests, so I'm just going to hit what's really standing out to me. Again, record number of protests this year. This chart is a little outdated compared to the more recent one that I prepared for Mr. Cox this morning. So 31,000 plus protests. I do expect that number to increase once tax bills go out. We do usually have a good amount of late protests or 25s that are filed. The chart in the middle of page 8, I wanted to point out just the increase in agent protests over the years. We've talked about certain agents making big pushes, and then we're seeing those numbers rise quite significantly each year. And I did want to point out that no-shows have decreased from 2024 to 2025. Just a minute ago, I ran a percentage of the no-shows that Bear County had last year versus their total, and it was about 8%. We're sitting at about 7% for 2024. This year, our no-show rate is about 3%. On page 9 is our final performance analysis. This is you've seen this chart before. These are the results from our 2023 property value study. We are working through that 2025 one right now. As Mr. Booker said, we should be able to get you preliminary numbers by next board meeting. On page 10 is our MAPS review from 2024. The district passed all of the requirements and met all of the ratings that we needed to. At the bottom of the page is our financial results. For 2025, we have 117,614 parcels, and the cost per parcel with our budget is $49.86. The last thing I want to highlight is just our taxpayer assistance. We do house the TLO on site. He's a great resource for taxpayers. We offer comment cards, customer surveys to gain feedback from the public. We're fortunate that we have a lot of taxpayers in this county that will, on their own, share a lot of feedback with us, so we appreciate that as well. I'm working with Michelle to also update our website to make it more taxpayer friendly, us be able to communicate messages more before the end of the year. That's all I got. Open to any questions.
Questions? I had one, on the cost per parcel, have y'all gone back? I know this is the annual operating budget, but have y'all gone back and compared it to what the actual in the year came out to be to see if we're getting that increase?
No,
I mean, we're consistently
not.
refunding,
right.
I'd just be curious where that.
He's saying take away the money you get back and then do a cost per parcel based off of what was actually spent.
So we can definitely have that for you next time, because I have that data. I usually do a cost per parcel and then an actual cost per parcel at the end of the year, once we, how much we actually spent.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'd just like to point out one thing, because there's a lot of numbers on some of these pages. If you flip back a couple pages to the page that says totals by taxing entities, 21 through 25, not back, forward, I'm sorry if I said that. And then flip one more, and at the top right, on the right-hand page, you'll see ComalAD. No. Second to last page.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at every other entity on here, other than the ISDs, their taxable value went up. All the entities are at a negative.
Percent change you put on all these things. What is that percent change? Is it parcel count, market value, or taxable value?
Taxable value.
Right. So it has to do with the homestead. So.
I understand now, I mean, I wasn't sure what it was, you may want to put parentheses, percent change taxable value or something,
You got it.
just to make it clear. And that's from the preceding year. Yeah, that's.
Yes, sir. The header's on the page before it.
I can print this with the headers on each page. I just didn't realize it. No. So would you like me to add in the taxable language on the percent change before we publish this?
I think we should, I mean, we understand it, but people don't believe it this, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking at. Well, quite frankly, I didn't know either, and I didn't take my calculator out this afternoon to try to figure out which one it was of the three. And I mean, I think it would just make it a little clearer if you.
Can I add the headers to each page as well?
Yeah, go ahead and do that, okay, for what we're gonna publish, absolutely.
And how your taxable value and market value is coming off of what run?
So it's coming off of the sub 3 totals, which include the legislative changes that are going to the vote. But it also includes the totals from when we added the entities that let us know the Homestead Lake and Simmons Valley, yeah. So we did sub 0 with how exemptions are current, sub 1 with the legislative changes that are pending, and then we corrected an entity, which is sub 3. So that is the final sub. So that's what these numbers are based on.
I mean, it's just, as everybody's playing with numbers, it's hard to. I mean, 'cause I was talking to the county judge about the county budget, and he's got numbers that aren't corresponding to the supplement one, I think that you guys sent me for certified values. It's always, which one are we using, which snapshot are we using?
This year's unique. Like last legislative session, we calculated rates off of sub 1 because that was assuming the constitutional amendment election for those propositions would pass.
Right.
Because of some issues with late information to the CAD or whatever happened.
Yeah.
They had to go to sub 3, so yeah, it is confusing. Sub 3 would be the certified role,
Correct.
assuming the election was they passed.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. We'll get those changes to Nathan.
Presentation of the personal, West Comal County and Simmons Valley Municipal Utility Districts.
Yes, sir. So this isn't an action agenda item or anything. This is just me notifying the board that these are new entities and that we are praising for all of them. Pure Song is gonna be out close to 1863 in Copper Ridge. West Comal, that's out Blanco Road by 46. It's actually part of the Lawbach property. And then Simmons Valley is at 306 and 281. So those were all brand new entities. And Tanner mentioned we had 42 entities. Out of that 42, 10 of those are MUDs and 10 of those are water districts. So basically half of our entities are either a MUD or a water district. And that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Question from the board? Item number 9, discussion of possible action approve of the Crexi. I think I said that right.
Yes.
Crexi contract for 2026.
So Crexi, it's a program or a database where we can get commercial information from, leasing information, cap rates. Tana and I have gone to a couple presentations, has a lot of good data. We did budget for this for 2026, but their rates are going up. And we can lock in the rate right now at 400 per user and not start paying it until 26. But if we wait till 26, it's going to go to 450 per user. So I ask that the board take that into consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve the correction contract for 2026.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Couch, second by Mr. Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 11, executive session. We're still moving forward with executive sessions.
Yes, sir.
So the board of directors board of directors on August 26, 2025, beginning at 6:42 p.m. convening except an executive session in accordance with chapter 551 of the open meeting act.